Welcome to my brand new series on visibility. For those people who don't already know me, my name's Liz Devonshire. I'm a brand photographer and visibility expert. I'm going to be talking to many very successful business women over the next few weeks. We're going to be talking about stepping out of the comfort zone, building up confidence, and the power of visibility in business. To catch full conversations every Wednesday at 12 o'clock, click on the link and you can go through and listen to some amazing women who are going to be talking about this. So please do stay on here and welcome Marie-Louise O'Neill. It's the first conversation in the series. Just please enjoy it. Hello there. Thank you for joining Marie-Louise O'Neill and myself today. I'm going to be having a little bit of a chat about visibility of Marie-Louise. She's really made her mark in the business world and somebody who's really very visible to her audience. She's founder of Lovely Evolution. She's also a Canva Queen and columnist, sorry, with Brand New magazine, as well as co-authoring not one, but three books. So, Marie-Louise, do you want to tell us a little bit more about Lovely Evolution?
Yes, so I specialise in branding and Canva design. So I combine my over 20 years of design experience. I'm a trained graphic designer as well, with the very popular tool that is Canva. So I've created a bit of a niche for myself within that, which I'm sure we'll talk more of within our chat. But I have various one-to-one design sessions. I work very collaboratively with my clients. So whether that's creating a bespoke logo for them or some custom templates in Canva, I really involve my clients within the design process. So I work in Zoom and share the screen, and so it's really a fun way to work with my clients. As part of that as well, I also teach people how to use Canva. So that might be corporates, as in sort of teams that need to upskill within Canva. And I also have my membership, which is called Lovely Canva Club. So working with a lot of small businesses, business owners, usually solopreneurs, virtual assistants, coaches. There's quite a few different types of people that I tend to work with. But I just love working with Canva because it's so accessible for many people. You don't have to be a trained designer to open it up and get good results. But I think it is a tool that people can benefit from having a little bit of a hand holding from someone like myself who can guide them through and help them to make sure that they're making the best use of the tool for their needs. So yeah, I love seeing people's like aha moments when I'm like, oh, did you know you could just like do this? And they're like, no. And it's just saved them so much time.
Yeah,
And just like opens up a whole
absolutely.
new
Yeah,
avenue of things that they can do.
absolutely. Because it can be really overwhelming with the amount of stuff on Canva. I think it's great that there'll be somebody there to hold their hand if they need it. So I was going
Yeah.
to ask you kind of a few things about how you became as visible as you are. So, first of all, what do you think was the one thing or things that initially got you noticed?
Um, I think I think in terms of carving out that niche within or that USP of working with Canva, people do tend to tag me in things and opportunities. Even now, where there's been a bit of time out from being really consistent on social media, I still get like referrals and tags for things and get recommended. And I think that's because when I discovered Canva, which was 2017, and really quickly jumped on it as a great tool. It really solved a problem, I guess, that I had, that a lot of the solopreneurs that I were working with were wanting to DIY stuff. And so at that point, not everyone had heard of Canva. I think most people, it's very rare now that when I say, oh, I work with Canva, that people are like, what is Canva? Most people now do know about it. But back then, it was less commonly used. And so people were using things like Word and PowerPoint or Publisher, stuff like that, and really having generally not great results. Or they were having to pay for a designer to do stuff for them every single time, and they might not have the budget for them for doing that. So yeah, so I jumped on Canva and I very quickly made it part of my toolbox and my sort of services. And I didn't sort of start using Canva and went, oh, I'm going to teach people how to do it. It was, I started using it and was talking about it a little bit. And then people were like, oh, could you do a workshop on it? I'm struggling. So I kind of fell into it a bit, but certainly within the communities and networks that I'm in, I've built up that name for myself as being that go-to Canva person. So although I see myself as a branding specialist and expert, that's what I studied at university, um, I've kind of embraced the fact that Canva's like the hook of like that foot in the door, as it were. So people might come to me going, oh, I've got this issue with Canva, but actually how I can help them and all the different ways and resources can really depend on like what they need and their budget and things like that. So yeah, I think it's just been a really good, like the timing of it, but me, hearing about Canva and really embracing it, I think that was a really pivotal moment of taking me on this path and opening up opportunities that I otherwise didn't foresee for myself.
Brilliant. And I don't know if you've noticed, I talk a lot about your comfort zone and how difficult people find to step out of their comfort zone. So I wanted to ask you, what leap of faith did you make to step out of your comfort zone and into the limelight?
So there's been a number of things that I've done over the years where looking back, I'm like, oh, where did I get the guts to do that? I guess for me, it's about saying yes to opportunities and just kind of
Yeah.
seeing where it takes me. So I I got approached, oh, when was it now? I think 2021. I got approached and invited to write a book about Canva. So it was for a company called Pact, that is a publishing house that specializes in books for like programs or like programming and things like that. Unfortunately, it did fizzle out, and that was a big part of like myself that I wasn't. It was a huge honor to be invited to write the book. And there was a lot of learning from it. And I still may write a book in the future because it did teach me a lot. But I think at that point, I said yes because I just trusted that that was the right thing to do and just thought, well, I can step into it. But ultimately, I wasn't in a good mental place and I had a lot of imposter syndrome then. I was struggling with a lot of mental health. It was just part, we were sort of in and out of like the pandemic still with all of that. And yeah, 2021 was quite a tough year. So there were some great opportunities that came up, and that was one of them. But I decided to take from it that lots of learning, like, there was no hard feelings that when we stepped away from that agreement, myself and the publisher, and they did go on to using another Canva expert, and it did get published in some semblance. I don't know how close it was to my outline. I'm not too bothered about it. There's no saltiness there. But it did teach me that it's a huge undertaking to write your whole book on your own. There is the issue with Canva of like it's always moving on. Like if it takes so long, am I going to just have it perpetually out of date? In fact, I've been rethinking about like, is it something I want to take on and almost make it this sort of book stroke kind of online course hybrid thing and what might
Yeah.
that look like? So it may be something that I'll venture into like next year and revisit, like how can I marry the two so that I can stay up to date with the content. So yeah, that's kind of potentially quite interesting. But yeah, it meant that going down the route of being a contributor to a multi-author book felt like a much more realistic undertaking. Like writing a chapter within a book makes so much more sense. I know you yourself have talked about
Yeah.
and shared your experience in a Sister Snog plum masterclass about your experience with that. So that's kind of quite interesting, like that process compared to the different experiences that I've had. But yeah, there's been a number of things. I had the opportunity to so one of the people who is like a longer term Canva person, she's based in Australia. She's a very prolific Canva template creator and is an official Canva creator. And I happened to see that Canva was opening the doors for the next wave of like creators. I was like, I need to get into that. I need to do that. So I did invest working with her because she was doing this program and supported going through. And I think because although she couldn't guarantee that I'd be a creator, she did know the right people. So it did like help. I don't know. It just helped know she had people that she could ask like how the process was going. So yeah, so I don't know if like I would have gotten through without her help, but it certainly gave me a lot of good practice about and understanding about when creating templates. So I did get through. So I am an official Canva creator. I have probably only got like 5 templates or something. It's something that I've got my foot in the door and would like to put more time to doing. So that could be another pivotal point in being able to sort of create another income stream and like grow that and be able to support like my community as well by creating templates that they're asking for that is then available for anyone in Canva.
Yeah, well, that sounds like really great because stepping out of your comfort zone can sometimes create so many more opportunities for you than you don't realize what's going to happen when you step out. And obviously we all are quite uncomfortable in kind of moving forward to somewhere that might be unfamiliar, but there are lots of rewards in doing it, and we can feel really great about it as well, which is good. The last thing I wanted to ask you about, or ask you if you wouldn't mind, would be to ask you about what advice would you offer listeners today and how they can become more visible to their ideal audience? So, what key piece of advice do you think that they need to hear?
So I think many people overcomplicate things in their minds as to what they're doing, or they want to offer so much. And I think it can kind of dilute the message that they're putting out there. So I've got a bit of a keynote talk which is called Get Known. And it's how to become the go-to person, because that's something that I have carved out for myself with being the go-to Canva person within my network. And I think the key thing is having real clarity about what you do and like what the benefits of working with you, because I think there can be there's competition out there. I'm not the only Canva person out there. There are other people, and mine. I overlap with other people. As I said, people will know more than just myself. And it's like, well, why would someone come to me, or like why would someone come to you, Liz, over other brand photographers? Like I know so many brand photographers. I guess sort of because I'm in the branding world as well. And it's understanding that if you know who you are and what you offer, your approach, and that you can communicate that, then there's not really true competition in a way, because you have that, you can build that confidence in what you're doing and who you're working with. And so knowing kind of your like top 3 things that you offer, I think that there's that rule of 3. So if you can even narrow it down, like what's your top level, like one thing, if people only remember one thing about you. And so for me, it's like if people only remember I know a bit about Canva, then that's fine. It's the foot in the door. Even though I know that I have got this and I've got that and I can help them with this, that's fine. People might think, oh, I just need to know how to do this in Canva. But obviously, once I chat with them, I can hopefully open their eyes to other things that I can help them with. Um, so knowing that, what is that first thing? What's that one thing if they meet you and they're like, so and so does this, then that's going to be so much more powerful than if you're trying to do too many different things. Or I see people chopping and changing quite a lot.
Yeah, yeah.
Not everyone, obviously, but it's interesting when someone like changes their track of like what they're doing. It makes me wonder, why did they do that? And so there can be a seed of doubt. It's not always necessarily a positive thing. Um, so I'm not saying that you only do one thing ever, but I think it's about being memorable. Like what's the hook that gets your foot in the door, and making sure that that top level, like what's the one, two, three things that you kind of want people to remember about you. And then obviously as people get to know you more, you can be like, oh, by the way, I do this as well. Like for me, my focus is talking about like branding, build your brand with Canva, using Canva. But actually, something else that I do is, I do book cover design. And that's not something I massively promote or talk about, but there is enough people that know that I do it, or it comes up and I'm like, yeah, me, I do book cover design. But if I was to talk about that in addition to everything else, for a start, it's not a focus of what I want to do anyway. It's something that I enjoy, but I wouldn't want that to be my main thing anyway. But I think it also is sort of kind of sits outside of the focus, like my core message. So yeah, that's what I would say is having the clarity and think about what's that the kind of tiers of like the top tier, like that one thing, and then second and third, and then the other stuff you can still offer, but it's not the focus.
Thank you so much, Marie-Louise, for sharing all that with us. I'm sure that everyone found that really interesting and really helpful. So if you have enjoyed this session, please do let us know in the comments. And if you'd like to know more about Lovely Evolution, there'll also be Marie-Louise's details put in the comments as well. So I just wanted to say thank you so much for coming along, Marie-Louise, and sharing about your visibility journey. It's much appreciated. And we'll see you soon. Take care. Bye.
Thank you.
So thanks again to Marie-Louise O'Neill. That was a really, really interesting and insightful conversation. I also just wanted to come in the end to talk a little bit about what I do. So being a brand photographer and a visibility expert means that I'm in a really good position to help any of those people who feel that their visibility isn't quite matching what they want it to be in order for their businesses to grow. So please, please do DM me if you'd just like a conversation to see how I can help. I'd love to help you with your brand shoots. I also run mini shoots a couple of times a year if that would be more interest to you. And the other thing I do is a visibility vault, which is 3 sessions to help you get your, if you do already have images or you're about to have some images shot, get them strategically shown on your socials, on your websites, and in other ways. So if you want to talk to me about how I might be able to help teach you how to make sure that you're actually using your content properly, or want to learn a little bit more about taking your own content in between shoots on smartphone, I could really help you with that as well. So please do get in touch just for a little chat. Okay, you can DM me anytime. Bye.